The end of effort. Be the mess you are. A talk with Unmani.
So we're often searching for something special, and part of the disappointment of waking up to the reality is that you realize that the specialness that you were hoping for or waiting for is a dream, and you're left with just the ordinary experience. And the ordinary experience is ordinary. It's what you've always known. So it's nothing special, it's nothing different to what you've known perhaps your whole life. But when you're on this spiritual path and you've been making all this effort and practice and teachers and all kinds of things that you've been putting yourself through, and perhaps you've been having some special experiences on the way, but to really come to the realization that this is it, literally this, whatever this is, it can be a bit of a shock and a bit of a letdown. But on the other hand, it is what you've been longing for, to simply meet yourself in what's here, rather than constantly saying, this is not good enough, I need something better. This constantly rejecting the present experience in the hope of something better, this in fact is suffering. This is painful to live like this. It's like saying to a child, I don't want to meet you, I'd rather meet somebody else, that's coming tomorrow. I mean, if I think about as a mother doing that to my son, that would be insanity. And there he is, like, hello, I'm here. No. Waiting for someone to come down the road. And this is what we're doing to ourselves all the time. And we are, in a sense, we are children. Waiting for attention, waiting to be acknowledged. All these identities that we talked about yesterday, they're all our little children, right? And as we acknowledge them and embrace them, and we no longer are trying to get rid of them or fix them. We're feeling into them, we're saying, yeah, come sit on my knee. It's okay, I understand your good intention here. You're just trying to help. But I'm the adult. So they're no longer in charge. They never were really. But they've been crying for attention. So any parent knows that if you don't give much attention to your child, they will cry and scream until you do. Or they'll do all kinds of crazy things to get your attention, right? And this is what these little children are doing. So when we acknowledge that this is what's here, yes, this mechanism is playing out, yes, it's painful or frightening or whatever is touched, also physically, emotionally. We don't feed it, we don't give it more attention and make it into a big drama, because that would be allowing the child to be the boss, to be in charge. But simply in acknowledging it, listening to it, but not feeding it. So walking that very thin line, not rejecting it and also not feeding it. Then we maintain this not maintain, we acknowledge our true adult. Yeah. It's nothing to do with the age of this body. It's who we really are, that is the parent, the ultimate parent for all our children. And this is what waking up is about, actually. Meeting whatever is here, even if it's uncomfortable, unpleasant, ugly, messy, or joyful. But whatever is here has to be met. And it will cry for attention until it is. And it might continue crying for attention after that even. But seeing that I am the one in charge, I, as my true nature, I am aware of all these children, untouched by them. And embracing them all, unconditionally loving them just the way they are, in the way that perhaps your actual parents couldn't do that for you all the time, because they're human. And essentially no human really can be unconditionally loving all the time. We all have our times when we can't manage or we can't give attention to our children. So they keep calling. So this very ordinary meeting what is here. Waking up to this one and to this one. Seeing where this one is playing out as if it's in charge of my life. As if this is really who I am. So we become more conscious of all these identities. Without the aim to get rid of them or change them in any way, because that is not this unconditional loving parent. As long as we're trying to fix or change ourselves or get rid of any aspect of what is happening, we're still feeding this play of separation, as if there is a better and a worse, as if this is it and that's not it, or if only if I clean up all of these annoying identities, then I'll have it. As long as that game is still playing out, this is more running, chasing, allowing that identity to be the boss, in fact. This unconditional loving parent is like this empty space where everyone can come and play. It's a big kindergarten. And to expect it to be otherwise is expecting these children to grow up and be serious and get spiritual and wake up. And they don't do that. So it's a relief also to meet these identities or these little children just the way they are. There's all this effort to try to fix and clean them up. In some way, it can help to bring more awareness to some of these mechanisms, but they don't go away. So, embracing them seems to be the only option. And it's the end of effort. Because at a certain point it becomes so exhausting to keep trying to fix yourself that there's a kind of giving up. Like, okay, just bring it on. All the mess can be here. I'm just a complete fuck up. This is who I am. Okay. And there's such a freedom in that. It's a radical freedom. When you can just be the mess that you are. And often on this spiritual path we get confused between waking up and somehow becoming a saint. Perhaps it's because of our religious background or social conditioning, I don't know what, but we're trying to become some kind of perfect saint. And this is certainly not what I'm teaching or pointing to. I'm not a saint at all. And to me, it seems that being a saint is a bit boring. Right? If you have to be perfectly anything, perfectly kind all the time, or perfectly... Anyway, I don't like wearing white all the time. And it also is somehow a kind of suppressing of the wild animal that is also happening for this human, that sometimes wants to scream and shout and be kind of crazy and naughty, and that sometimes has a little tantrum being thrown, and okay, I just need to say that and do that, and it doesn't mean anything about who I am. That's the freedom. It doesn't mean that now I've lost something, or I'm no longer awake, or it's just it's one of these children that needs to express itself in the moment. Saying all of this, I also have to say, just for the thinking that can grasp what I'm saying now, that what I'm saying doesn't mean that you now have full permission to go around hurting other people and being mean to everybody and trashing everything. I'm not saying that freedom is being horrible. Freedom is just meeting what's here. And of course, it's not ideal to express, if there's, for example, a lot of anger or aggression. It's not an ideal situation to be expressing that to other people. It causes them distress, and it will have consequences for you. It's not really what you want to do anyway. But if there is, for example, anger or aggression, it's about owning that, acknowledging that that's what's here, and it needs to be expressed. So finding a safe place, a way, a channel, so that it can be expressed. Because as long as it's here and being kind of pushed down, it will come out in other ways. Yeah. So when we acknowledge that that's what's here, it becomes our responsibility to find a form of expression for it. But when we're really meeting these children, we know what they need. It's like, if you're a parent of a child that has a lot of energy, well, you need to take them running to the beach, to get rid of their energy. Not get rid of, but, to move that energy. So sometimes a little child needs to cry, right? So then you take yourself, a nice pillow, maybe some sad music, you have a cry. That's what's needed in that moment. Or if there's a little child here that's feeling kind of disturbed, or the nervous system is a bit, okay, what does it need? Maybe it needs some peace and quiet. Maybe it needs to lie down or go for a walk in nature. So we have to take care of these little children. But we're not feeding the story. We're acknowledging it. Sometimes it needs to say, yeah, but so-and-so did blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, I hear you. And I feel you. We stay also feeling. And we keep bringing the attention back to the sensations rather than the story. Because as long as we're feeding that story, it will just elevate into, escalate into more and more drama. And then again, the child is somehow in charge, giving too much attention. But if we can keep bringing the attention back to the physical sensations, this body, what does it need? Doing its best to take care of, we're doing our best to take care of this. Each child as it arises, right? Because there are so many. But all the time knowing that they are not in charge. They are not the truth, the ultimate truth of who you are. You are aware of them. They're so welcome because they never disturb you. You as life itself. So your whole body can be disturbed by one of these children. But you are not disturbed. You're simply aware. And this is not an experience of not being disturbed. The experience is of being fully disturbed in that moment. But there's a knowing of it. That is always here. In the same way as you know that this situation now is happening. This awareness is always here. And this awareness doesn't need the experience to always be peaceful or some special experience. It can be a mess. This is the radical nature of this awareness that you are. That it doesn't need the experience to be like anything. It's always aware. This is the paradox. Right? It doesn't make sense for the mind. The mind wants to grasp, but it's this kind of experience. So what? I can be a complete mess. Yes, this is freedom. If your experience has to be in a certain way, this is not freedom. If you have to be saintly in some way, or always perfect, that's not freedom. So it's meeting whatever is here. And of course there is always an evolution in the experience. So it can seem as if when you first let go of this trying to fix and trying to improve, it can feel a bit like, but if I stop doing that, then nothing will change. I'll just kind of be stuck in my patterns. And it's a risk. But that's not what I'm saying. That you continue with this living from curiosity. So there is always a deepening and an evolution, in a sense, for this human. And as we embrace these little children more and more, this can also be the deepest healing for them. Because they no longer need to shout and scream to get your attention, because you're always attentive of them. So they can, in time, also come to rest more and more. But there's no goal for them to all come to rest. They don't need to. Because who needs them to? There's no me that is checking, who's still making a disturbance in the party. There's no host here. So they can it seems to be a kind of byproduct of this unconditional embracing, that they do tend to come more and more to rest. But it's not that they disappear. They're so welcome. Even if they come to rest for a while and then they go crazy again, if they're triggered again by something unexpected. Okay? Welcome. Welcome forever. Forever. These children are so unconditionally loved. Welcome forever to do whatever they like. And this is the love that we've been longing for, right? To be so unconditionally met, just as we are. And this is what as our true nature, this is what we can do for our little children, to unconditionally meet them in the way that we've been longing for. This is how we meet ourselves. This is how we stop looking outside of ourselves to find the love and the acceptance and the approval, the respect from others. We take those little children and say, yeah, I hear you, I feel you. And we see that it's hopeless that anyone can ever give us what we're looking for. And in meeting that pain of the hopelessness, the heartbreak, we already are meeting ourselves in unconditional love. It's not always easy. It can be really painful. Even frightening. But this seems to be the path, the journey, going nowhere, in a sense, but more and more embracing whatever is here.